been in the city management arena for 30 years, has experience working in both the private and public sectors to the team. Paul began his career with the South Florida Water Management District, working in their regulatory program. After leaving South Florida Water Management District, he spent 10 years as a partner in a local engineering, planning, and surveying firm, followed by 5 years in private planning practice. More recently, Paul has served as planning, zoning, and building director for both Royal Palm Beach and Wellington. Paul joined the Wellington team in 2001 and served as a long-range planning director, as planning, zoning, and building director, and as Director of Community Services before being appointed as Village Manager. Paul and his family have lived in the Western community since 1977. He is a certified planner and holds a bachelor's degree in business administration. I know I kid him all the time, but he was actually, when I came on board, he was one of the first city managers that really helped to embrace the chamber and everything that we wanted to do in working collaboratively with the cities. And since then, we had the same thing happen with David Farber, God rest his soul, and Ray Ligon since then, and of course the group over in Green Acres, Juanita, and of course Mayor Samper and Michelle. We came together with the State Road 7. And so, but Paul was the initiator, and we really appreciate all the support that he has given us. So with that, Paul Schofield.
Every year when we do these discussions with you about where we've been and where we're going, that have not been the most pleasant of tasks that we've had. Can you hear me now, Mr. Adams? Okay. They've not been the most pleasant conversations we've ever had, because government, like everybody else, has felt the effects of a down economy. And assuming, and we all know what that can mean, that we don't double dip back into recession, it really appears that the worst is behind us. And there are even glimmers of hope in the near future. Sort of recapping where Wellington is at, this is the 5th year in a row that we've done budget cuts and some staffing reductions. Having said that, it's also the year that we have done the least amount of cutting. That was due principally to property values falling far less than we had thought. That's a pretty good thing. So we really appear to have weathered the worst of the foreclosures. We maybe, and with the recent changes, perhaps we'll clear out the foreclosure backlog, and for municipalities like Wellington, foreclosures have been a major problem for us. We've seen a marked decrease in the number of business failures over the last year or so, and we've seen an uptick in building permits, and all of those are positive indicators. They indicate that the economy is getting better. There are a couple of troubling trends that we're looking at now. We spend a good deal of time looking at what our population is and what our demographics are, and it appears that we're losing people in the 32 to 46 age range as the kinds of jobs that they depended on have gone, so have they. That's troubling because what our communities are first and foremost is family communities. I mean, we all talk about businesses, and we cannot survive without you. You know, businesses are in many respects the lifeblood of our communities. But what brought most of us here, I don't know what got most of you here, but what got me and my family here was these were family-oriented communities where there were good property values, there were good neighborhoods and good schools and good parks, and those are things that no matter what we do, we cannot afford to lose. So what are we doing? In Wellington and in the Western communities and with the Chamber, we know that bringing jobs and employment is an important thing. We have to find a different mix of jobs. But those have to be done in a way that it doesn't change the fundamental character of our communities. And what the fundamental character of our community is, again, is a really, and you'll see it in most of what we do, we are a great hometown. We're the place where you want to raise your family. So we're probably not going to get, nor do we want to go out and look at heavy manufacturing. So that's kind of where we are looking at, is in our medical arts district, and that's to take the 2 hospitals that are at either end of Forest Hill Boulevard and build on what they bring to our communities. To look at some of our older neighborhoods that need some help. In Wellington, our version of that is residential renaissance, and that's just sort of putting a nice name on how do you go into the most troubled communities and do the things to help those people who live there. And then we're looking at the Main Street and the town center concept to give us that place where people will gravitate to. Because we've had the issues with home ownership and foreclosures, we've instituted our Safe Neighborhood program, and there are a lot of things that come under that. And all Safe Neighborhoods is designed to do is provide a place where government resources can be concentrated and people can have ready access to it. The worst thing in the world you ought to have to do is if you're calling up your local city and you go, I need help with my mortgage, or I need help with how to get something done to my home, and you get sent 12 different places because the person doesn't really know. So we've done Safe Neighborhoods. We concentrate everything there. One of the things that they've come up with in the Safe Neighborhood program is a program we're pretty happy with. It's called Landlord 411. For those of you who have had to deal with tenants who go from one rental complex to another, there was no way that they could share information. So a bad tenant with one landlord would just simply pick up and go to another. With Landlord 411 now, the landlords meet together, they share that information, and we're seeing a reduction in the number of repeat bad tenants. The other thing that, we've done some things with there with increased code enforcement in those areas, some community policing we've done, and the one really unique thing about our Safe Neighborhoods program is the neighborhood advocates. And they're people, they're not police officers, not code enforcement officers. What they are is people whose job it is to get out in the neighborhood and know the neighbors. Teddy Roosevelt said something once. It said, speak softly and carry a big stick. Well, our big stick are our community advocates. They get out and they get to know the people in the neighborhood. They know who the good people are, they know who the troublemakers are, and they will help the good folks. And with the troublemakers, it's, clean up your act, and we're happy for you to be here. If not, we're going to come. You'll get all the government that you pay for. So those are kind of the things that we've done to deal with the issues of the past. And again, like what he had said earlier, we're not projecting any real uptick in government revenues for at least the next two to three budget cycles. And so as a practical matter, every local government in this room has seen property values fall by 40%. We've all had to make adjustments, and services have changed. We've changed the way we do business. That's not been a bad thing, and I'll probably not keep you too much longer than that. So I'll go to the future. I was sort of debating about the outlook of the future. Rather, I was going to say that it was guardedly optimistic or optimistic, and I really do believe that our outlook is an optimistic one, that we seem to have turned the corner. There has been far greater cooperation between the local municipalities and the county and the chambers. If you would have asked to have this conversation 5 years ago, Ray and I would have been separated by at least 2 tables. But those things have changed. For us, the major change in the future is going to be that continued investment in our infrastructure, the things that preserve value today, so that tomorrow, that when the jobs do come back and when people start staying in the community, that we're not having to pay significant amounts of money for things that we should just be doing today. And if you're in Wellington, you'll know that we have spent a lot of money fixing roads. We're upgrading our water and sewer system, and our drainage system are things that are doing, and things that are being improved. And we're putting money back into a place where there is future value for it. There is far more spending on maintenance than today, and far less spending on general government than was the case 5 years ago. So our outlook for the future, I believe, is optimistic. And I think that was the end of my time.